The lie of comfort and the integrity deficit. You think you want to get in shape. You're lying. You don't want the process, you want the idea of the result. You want the confidence, the energy, and the magnetic pull, without spending 1 ounce of effort that challenges your current, comfortable existence. Look at yourself. You catch your reflection in a dark window. You feel the shortness of breath going up the stairs. You feel the low-grade shame when you put on clothes that used to fit. And what is your immediate defense mechanism? The story. You tell yourself the elaborate lie that protects your comfort zone. I'm too busy. My metabolism is slow. I'll start next Monday, when things calm down. These are not reasons. They are excuses. They are flimsy, pathetic narratives you've recycled so many times. They've become the iron bars of your self-inflicted prison. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a victim of your own broken promises. This isn't about weight, or body fat, or aesthetics. This is about integrity. The way you treat your body is the foundational promise you make to yourself. When you break that promise daily, when you choose ease over effort, you systematically erode your self-worth. That slow, painful erosion radiates outward, infecting your relationships, flattening your career ambition, and dulling your overall presence. This is the first shocking truth. Your discipline is your true attraction currency. You wonder why the dynamic high-value partners or opportunities seem to bypass you. It's because confidence is not a feeling you conjure. It is the quiet, internal certainty of a person who does what they say they will do. When you walk with low energy, when your movements are sluggish, when your physical state suggests a profound lack of self-care, the world, and every successful discerning person in it, sees someone who cannot commit to the simplest, most fundamental promise, the promise to their own health. If you won't commit to the machine that carries you through life, why should a quality partner invest their time, energy, and commitment in you? The visible lack of discipline broadcasts a signal of low integrity and passive participation in life. That signal is repellent. The discipline required to overcome this is far easier than you think. But you have to stop lying to yourself about the starting point. Stop outsourcing your lack of results to external factors. The most pervasive lie you cling to is the deception about time. You defend your inertia by claiming you simply do not have 60 minutes for the gym. This is a monumental myth. It's a deliberately fabricated fantasy to let your brain off the hook. This is the second harsh realization. Your busy life is merely a meticulously organized schedule of distractions. You have time for hours of scrolling. You have time to passively consume content. You have time to complain to your friends. You have time to worry. But you magically do not have time for a 20-minute walk, or 10 minutes of intense bodyweight activity. Your calendar is not a statement of necessity. It is a ledger of what you truly value. And right now, you value the immediate, temporary flood of dopamine from distraction more than the lasting confidence derived from effort. Stop insulting your own intelligence. It takes less time to begin changing your life than it takes to watch a single YouTube short. The actual struggle isn't logistics. It's finding the courage to prioritize momentary discomfort over chronic long-term ease. This avoidance of discomfort leads directly to the third, brutal truth. Your inability to start is an addiction to physical and psychological comfort. You believe the obstacle is the difficulty of the workout itself. Wrong. The obstacle is your brain's primal wiring that equates physical effort with a threat to energy conservation. You've trained your body and mind to choose the path of least resistance. You've become skilled at being passive. You don't fail because the exercise is hard. You fail because the fleeting sense of burning muscles or hunger pangs is a threat to your cozy, predictable routine. The real enemy is not the heavy weight, it's your absolute attachment to comfort. You think highly disciplined people are constantly waging war against their willpower. They are not. They simply made the fundamental decision to prioritize action over feeling. They established a new baseline of effort. And the maintenance of this new baseline is exponentially easier than you think, once the initial inertia is broken. The core takeaway, the small mindset shift that can create explosive change, is this: the path to fitness is not a quantum leap. It is an aggregation of small, honest decisions. Stop viewing this as climbing Mount Everest. Start seeing it as choosing the stairs over the elevator. The lie that paralyzes you is the belief that you must be perfect from the start. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You need to win the next 5 minutes. You can take a brisk 10-minute walk right now. You can drink only water for the next 2 hours. The effort is minimal, but the psychological victory is profound. Every single time you choose the honest, slightly difficult action, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. You are building proof of concept that you are capable of follow-through. Stop negotiating with yourself. Stop settling for less than your potential. Your future self is a direct victim of the excuses you are making right now. You don't need motivation, you need a brutal dose of reality. The choice is binary comfort and stagnation, or discomfort and growth. The mirror is waiting for you to tell it the truth. Burn the excuses. Start now. The identity shift and the momentum. Lie. The excuses are dead. You've accepted the brutal reality that your lack of action is a choice, not a circumstance. But accepting the lie isn't enough. Now we must address the internal game. The mechanism that keeps you stuck in the cycle of starting strong and fizzling out quickly. This is where most people fail. They try to change their behavior without changing their identity. They try to do a diet instead of becoming a disciplined person. That gap, the gap between who you are and who you want to be, is where your motivation dies. The effort required to bridge that gap is far easier than you think once you redefine what the effort actually is. You see yourself as someone who struggles with fitness, someone who can't stick to a routine. That label is a cage. It's the fourth brutal truth. You are not failing because the routine is complex. You are failing because your identity is passive. Your actions are simply following the script your subconscious has written for you. If you identify as a passive person, your brain will constantly look for passive opportunities, the couch, the snack, the snooze button. You must initiate the identity shift. Stop saying, I have to drag myself to the gym. Start saying, I am the kind of person who shows up. Stop saying, I'm trying to cut out sugar. Start saying, I am an energized, high-value person who prioritizes clean fuel. Your actions do not dictate your identity. Your chosen identity dictates your actions. When you internalize the belief that you are a disciplined person, skipping a workout or eating junk food feels like a foreign, uncharacteristic, and fundamentally wrong act. It creates cognitive dissonance, and your brain, hating dissonance, will compel you back to the identity you established. The moment you define yourself by your commitment, the entire task of getting in shape becomes easier than you think. It moves from being a fight of willpower to a simple act of self-consistency. Now, let's talk about the psychological fuel. This is the fifth harsh realization. You are waiting for the engine to fire before you drive the car. You are waiting to feel motivated, to feel energized, to feel like going to the gym. That is the fundamental amateur's mistake. Motivation is not the fuel, it is the exhaust. You do not get motivated and then take action. You take action, and the resulting feeling of success, momentum, and pride is the motivation that sustains you. The feeling you are waiting for is the reward for action, not the prerequisite for it. It will never arrive while you are sitting still. Stop relying on fleeting emotion and external bursts of hype. Rely on your commitment and your newly chosen identity. This is the psychological hack that allows the discipline to thrive. The power of micro-commitment. We talked about the 5-minute rule, but let's deepen it. Your primal brain, the one addicted to comfort, operates on simple math: energy in versus energy out. It sees a 60-minute workout as a massive, unsustainable energy drain and screams, no. You must disarm that reaction by making the task so small it is non-negotiable and requires zero willpower. The true goal is not the full workout. The goal is winning the first 2 minutes. The commitment is not to run 5 miles. The commitment is to put on your running shoes. The commitment is not to cook a healthy meal. The commitment is to chop 1 vegetable. The commitment is not to do 100 push-ups. The commitment is to drop and do 2. When you win those first 2 minutes, you engage the principle of momentum. Once a body is in motion, it tends to stay in motion. The massive psychological friction that prevents people from starting is completely bypassed. That initial barrier, the hardest part of the entire process, is now exponentially easier than you think, because you've stopped negotiating with the lazy part of your brain and simply executed the single easiest step. Show up. Win the first 2 minutes. Let momentum take over. The sixth shocking truth that will slap you awake is this: your future self is your biggest victim. Every time you hit the snooze button, Every time you choose fast food out of sheer laziness, every time you skip your promised workout, you are not just hurting yourself now. You are actively stealing resources, energy, health, time, and confidence from the person you could become. That future version of you, the one who is vibrant, attractive, and successful, is a direct casualty of the comfort you prioritize today. You are racking up an emotional debt of shame and regret that you will pay with low self-esteem later. Your neglect is not harmless. It is a slow, methodical act of self-sabotage, and it must stop. The clear takeaway and final mindset shift for this section: prioritize consistency over intensity. You don't need to destroy yourself in the gym 4 times a week to win. That intense, unsustainable effort leads to burnout, injury, and quitting. What you need is predictable, boring, high-integrity consistency. Showing up for a short, effective session 5 days a week is exponentially more valuable than one massive session followed by 6 days of guilt. Consistency is the true signal of high value and reliability. It's proof to yourself and the world that you are not a flare, but a reliable flame. Stop seeking the big, dramatic change. Start hunting the small, boring win. Do something small, do it honestly, and do it every single day. That is how the hard work of building self-discipline becomes easier than you think. The psychology of softness and the attraction filter. The excuses are incinerated. The identity shift has begun. You are now fighting the battle of consistency, not the war of starting. But the consequences of your former softness are still active, still poisoning your most vital connections. Let's address the elephant in the room that no one dares to speak about: attraction dynamics and the brutal non-negotiable filter of self-care. You cling to the pathetic belief that you can hide your lack of self-respect. You think you can mask the low-level fatigue and the simmering anxiety with social charm or expensive clothing. Wrong? Your self-neglect is not invisible. It is a low-frequency broadcast of insecurity. And every successful, high-value person you want to attract instantly tunes it out. This is the 7th brutal truth. Your physical state is your first and most accurate resume. It is the immediate, visceral evidence of your internal management. If you can't manage your own body, the most fundamental resource you possess, why should anyone trust you to manage their emotions, a business, or a future they won't? Stop demanding a high-quality, disciplined partner while you refuse to meet the minimum standard for yourself. You are a hypocrite demanding external validation you haven't earned. When you are physically fit and energized, your confidence is internal. It is a resource you possess, a certainty that is felt, not seen. But when you neglect yourself, your confidence is external. You constantly seek reassurance, a compliment, a validation, a constant check-in because you have zero internal proof of your own capability. This physical softness translates directly into emotional neediness. And neediness is the ultimate anti-aphrodisiac. It suffocates attraction faster than anything else. This leads to the 8th harsh realization. The person who avoids physical discomfort is the person who avoids emotional discomfort. Look at the connection. The person who gives up after 2 minutes on the treadmill is the person who shuts down after the first minor conflict in a relationship. The person who opts for the easy, sugary food is the person who opts for the easy, superficial conversation. Physical endurance is the training ground for emotional resilience. When you build muscle and stamina, you are training your nervous system to withstand stress, delay gratification, and manage discomfort without shutting down or lashing out. When a difficult conversation arises, the physically disciplined person stands solid. The person addicted to comfort crumbles, gets defensive, or flees. You are dating your effort, and so is everyone else. A healthy partner is not looking for a project. They are looking for a contributor. They want a partner who stands solid, who has energy to engage, and who doesn't require constant emotional maintenance. Your neglect makes you a burden. Your passivity requires others to constantly enable, excuse, and cater to your need for ease. That is not attractive. That is exhaustion. The quiet strength derived from doing the hard thing. Consistently, that is the magnetic power that commands respect in the boardroom and desire in the bedroom. The social and psychological environment around you is actively sabotaging your attempts at growth. This is the 9th shocking truth. Your social circle might be your biggest enemy. Look closely at the people you spend the most time with. Are they celebrating your 5 a.m. workout? Or are they joking about it while ordering another round of destructive choices? If you are the most disciplined person in your immediate circle, your circle is too small, or you need to radically upgrade your standards for proximity. Your environment is always stronger than your willpower. You must actively curate a circle that holds you to a higher, more honest standard. The social pressure to be soft is immense, but the internal payoff of rejecting it is the birth of your true authority. Stop using the shallow metric of the scale or the mirror as your only goal. Your objective is not to get a six-pack. Your objective is to become a person of internal power. When you put in the work, you are generating internal validation. Every time you show up for yourself, you are making a powerful deposit into your confidence bank. You are not working out to impress others, you are working out to stop needing to impress others. This internal certainty, this knowing that you are capable and reliable, is the glow-up that no diet, no expensive haircut, and no amount of flirting can fake. The clear takeaway for unlocking magnetic attraction is this: treat self-care as a moral imperative, not a vanity project. Your fitness is not about vanity, it is about utility. It is about having the physical and emotional reserves to be a high-functioning, attractive, and reliable partner, friend, and professional. The transformation you seek in your relationships begins the moment you become ruthlessly honest about the integrity you are showing your own body. You are one decision away from broadcasting a different signal entirely. Stop broadcasting neediness and exhaustion. Start broadcasting power and resilience. It is infinitely easier than you think to start, but you must sever your dependence on comfort immediately. The neurochemical pivot and the self-sustaining loop. You've survived the brutal self-assessment. You've initiated the identity shift. You've accepted that discipline is your ultimate currency of attraction. Now, we move past the conscious fight and into the biological inevitability of success. This is the secret held by every disciplined person. The process stops being a battle of willpower and becomes a biological necessity. The change you seek is chemically engineered, and the maintenance is infinitely easier than you think once you hit the neurochemical pivot point. We need to understand why your brain resists the workout but craves the planning. This is the 10th shocking truth. Your brain is addicted to the dopamine of the starting line, not the discipline of the routine. Planning a workout, buying new gear, setting a goal, these activities release dopamine because they signal novelty and potential reward. Your brain loves this theoretical progress. But the moment you lace up your shoes, and the actual effort begins, the brain hits the brakes. Effort requires energy expenditure and delay of gratification, which dopamine-seeking circuits hate. You get stuck in a loop of false starts and planning perfection because the planning feels like progress. But it's just comfort in disguise. The only way to break this addiction to planning mode is through relentless, imperfect execution. Now, let's talk about the biological trap of comfort. The 11th harsh realization is that physical inactivity doesn't relieve stress. It manufactures it. You settle onto the couch after a long, stressful day, thinking you are recovering. You are not. You are allowing cortisol, the body's stress hormone, to linger and accumulate. Your body is wired to move, to physically escape stress. When you are static, your ancient biology registers this as being trapped, helpless, or frozen. The result: chronic, low-level anxiety, poor sleep, and emotional volatility. Your lack of physical discipline is not a neutral state. It is an active state of chemical toxicity. The irony is that the moment you move, the moment you engage in that small, 10-minute walk or bodyweight session, you trigger the release of neurotransmitters, GABA, serotonin, endorphins, that actively cancel out the stress hormones. The true comfort is found on the other side of the effort. Your life becomes exponentially easier than you think, because you are using your body's own chemistry to regulate your emotional state. This leads us to the neurochemical pivot, BDNF, and the brain upgrade. When you engage in consistent physical movement, especially high-intensity interval training or strength training, your body releases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neural connections, improves cognitive function, and dramatically increases your capacity for learning and emotional regulation. This is the neurological mechanism that makes disciplined people seem sharper, calmer, and more capable. The physical effort is not just sculpting your body, it is rewiring your consciousness. You are literally becoming a smarter, more resilient version of yourself. The choice to exercise is not a health choice, it's an intelligence choice. The final decisive step is embracing the myth of the perfect time. This is the 12th brutal truth. The perfect moment to start does not exist, because you are constantly moving through your life, not waiting for it to begin. You're waiting for the perfect Monday, the perfect season, the perfect lack of stress. But life is an endless, messy stream of obligations and distractions. If you need perfection to start, you will never start. The disciplined person understands that they must execute in spite of the chaos, in spite of the stress, and in spite of the feeling that they don't have enough time. Consistency is the ability to perform your small, non-negotiable action on your worst day. The clear takeaway for achieving permanent change: shift from willpower to neuro-optimization. Willpower is a limited resource that runs out by midday. Neuro-optimization. The biological reward system we've discussed is self-sustaining and infinite. Stop fighting your lack of motivation. Instead, simply execute the small 2-minute action to activate the BDNF and endorphins. Let your own internal chemistry reward and reinforce the behavior. That is how the commitment becomes truly easier than you think, because your body will begin to demand the action that makes it feel stable, energetic, and mentally optimized. You've been handed the keys to your own operating system. You know the lies, you know the shift, and you know the chemical leverage. Stop treating your life like a dress rehearsal. The curtain is up. The only thing left to burn is your last remaining second of inertia.